Hello and welcome. I am Christine Clark, full-time business life coach, trainer, and speaker. I'm also a lay speaker for my denomination and have the gift of leading worship for congregations in the area, a role that I refer to in fun as church lady. Today, the message is titled Trusting, and it's based on 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 32 to 40, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 5 through 11, and Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 41, the Message version of the Bible. The second week of June, my family and we all went to Holland, Michigan. And my family included my father and my stepmother, my sister's family, my brother's family, along with my husband, myself, and our two sons, and my youngest son's partner and our very first grandchild. We went to scatter my mother's ashes on the edge of Lake Michigan. And I will tell you, it was a wonderful trip. To hang out as a group together for several days was a gift. Late afternoon on Sunday, my nephew, Parker, my son, Daniel, and Lily, Daniel's partner, decided to take the canoe out on the small lake that we were staying on. And they took Javier, my 5-month-old grandson, with them. Javi snug in the carrier wrap that Lily wore. The three adults put life jackets on. And I will share with you what I didn't share with them. The idea of taking the baby with them frightened me. My brother shared the same feeling, but he didn't catch them before they launched. Lily sat in the middle with Javi, and the two men paddled, and I felt that clutch in my stomach, the worry, and I began to catastrophize all the things that might go wrong before I reined it in, and then I changed the story in my head. I decided that they would be all right, and I asked God to watch over them. They had a lovely paddle. They overshot the house coming back and had to go further up the lake and then turned around and found their way back to our dock. Javi had loved the rock of the boat and was calm for the ride. Daniel, Lily, and Parker told us that some of the people in other boats shook their heads when they realized there was a baby in the canoe with them. Yeah, I told them, I believe that. My son and his partner are 24 years old. They are great parents and they take good care of Javi. He is a happy, relaxed child. This weekend, we are fur babysitting for my eldest, who will be 30 in November. Ben is at a music festival with a large group of friends. They have been doing this particular festival for at least 6 years, and our house was the staging area for the group to meet, consolidate luggage, decide who was riding with whom. And our yard looked a little bit like a used car lot with all the vehicles that were left behind. They arrived at our house at 11 p.m. on Tuesday night and were on their way by 1:24 a.m., driving 8 hours to be at the venue in the morning. It was important to arrive early and be together going in for prime camping spots. And my son Ben told me that he will have been up for over 36 hours by the time they arrived. I told him, well, don't sleep while you're driving. Did I have a twitch of worry? Yes. And I knew he had others in the car to talk with. I know his people are good people who watch out for each other. As a mother, one of my biggest faith walks is letting go when it comes to my children. In the passage from 1 Samuel, Saul telling David, "You're too young and inexperienced," just jumped out at me. I know that one. That adult prerogative to protect the child, that reflex, knee-jerk response. Don't do that. Don't climb up there. You're going too fast. You're going to hurt yourself. Be careful. We so easily choose fear over faith when it's our young. And I've noticed as I get older, the same thoughts, similar fears show up in regard to my father and sometimes with my husband. And I know that they have had those thoughts and ideas about me too. And I bridle at their lack of faith in my abilities. I'm sure they feel irritated by my concerns as well. Actually, I don't think they see me as incompetent. And I don't mean to diminish others with my worries. When it comes right down to it, I believe in both my sons. I trust their abilities to manage life and deal with anything that happens. The "you're too young and inexperienced" stems from deeper inside. Translated, we might more honestly say, "I don't think I could handle something happening to you." Saul, in all his experience and wisdom, states it plainly, "You don't stand a chance, kid." Then, when David's determination is undiminished, Saul tries the next tact, outfitting David with armor. We parents are guilty of this too, overcompensating, lecturing with cautionary tales, and listing everything to watch out for, jumping into management overdrive, orchestrating everything so our child's endeavor comes out perfect, safe, clean. And sometimes in the process, we diminish our children or our parent or that individual we fear for. It's hard to let go. It is challenging to believe everything will be all right, to trust that God's got this. David knows his own ability, believes in God and himself. The reminder in this passage from 1 Samuel comes with David's statement, "The Eternal delivered me from tough situations before, the One will deliver me now." Faith is trusting no matter what happens that we will make it through. I know now at this stage in my life, faith isn't believing a certain thing will happen or that I'll get a desired outcome. It's knowing that I will learn and grow. Our spiritual life is one of discovering new ways of how our loving parent works. We can only plumb the depths of our relationship with our Creator by walking out on the field and facing Goliath without armor, trusting that God is with us. Sometimes facing Goliath is breathing deeply as you watch 3 young adults and an infant glide away across the water, or saying nothing more to your potentially sleep-deprived adult son as he and his friends head off on their trip. Goliath is a great metaphor for any challenge we have in our life. It works for the tiny daily incidentals where we could be better versions of ourselves, as well as the large, life-shaking disruptions that bring us to our knees. In 1 Corinthians, the people are called out for dragging each other to court instead of doing the hard work of reconciliation. Paul is speaking to their Goliath. It's so much easier to blame others and to go to great lengths to prove that they are wrong and we are right. The fuel of righteous indignation burns hot. But there is a cost. It provides fuel for more wrong, more injustice, more hurt to people. For the Corinthians, trusting means letting go of the need to be vindicated, to just take it. Tall order. When someone leaves us hanging, reneges on a promise, points out our shortcomings, or hurts us, it is very natural to fight back. If we feel used and abused, it is a small step to justify using and abusing others. A glimpse at the world tells us that this is happening en masse. Our faith walk demands that we stop the cycle. Just take it. What do we have to trust in order to take it? To just take it? The first thing that comes to my mind is trusting that we will be okay. Whatever the slight or hurt, we can be, still are, whole. We can be a little more savvy, a little more shrewd next time, and not put ourselves in a position to be injured again. Plus, know that we are not diminished because of what happened. The second thought is trusting in the omniscience of our Creator, that all of creation is under God's care. We receive unending grace as we figure our life out. The same grace is for everyone. We learn from our mistakes, so will everyone else. When we just take it, we can trust that God has got this. We're not expected to be the judge, jury, teacher, or disciplinarian. We only really need to pull the learning and growth meant for us from any experience, trusting that the loving parent is providing that for others, trusting that others will learn and grow too. This piece, trusting that others will learn and grow too, is what I try to hold on to when it comes to my children and those I care deeply for. And I say try because letting go and trusting God is a journey. I get caught up in that balance between being the voice of reason or the voice of experience and keeping my mouth shut, not speaking up so that others can have their full experience. I know I can and I do catastrophize. I can be reactionary, like the disciples on the boat in Mark. We too can get caught up in the storm. We will predict doom, freak out, panic. Fear gains the upper hand. I know from my coach training and personal experience, decisions made in fear yield poor results. By the 4th chapter in Mark, those hanging out with Jesus have seen some amazing things, and yet they still are not fully understanding whom it is that they travel with. The storm came up quickly, like most of life's curveballs, and threatened their safety. They wake Christ up with the admonishment, "Is it nothing to you that we are going down?" In that moment, it seems the disciples are wanting their leader to join them in freaking out. They're not really asking to be saved. They're disrupted. They're put off by the idea that someone can sleep through the storm. How can you not be wigging out too? When we're wound up, sometimes we seek for others to be wound up with us. We want to confirm that we are justified in our catastrophizing. We're not asking for help or seeking solution. Sometimes when we're battered by the storm, we bring in more people to churn the waves higher, just so we don't feel alone. God, through Christ, through Spirit, quiets the wind and calms the waters. The walk of discipleship, emulating Jesus, asks us to refrain from jumping on the panic wagon. We are asked to trust in the Lord. Trusting we can step back and let go. Trusting we can remain calm. Stand as a boulder amid the waves. Trusting we can listen to those who are wound up, ask questions, seek understanding. In trust, we can calmly walk out on the field and meet our Goliaths. In faith, we can learn and grow, knowing the Creator is always with us. Having delivered us from hardship before, we know the Eternal will deliver us again. Not adversaries, disputes, storms, or anything else can separate us from the 1 and 3 when we have faith, when we go forth trusting.